Welcome to Tough Talk 911.
Because it's an emergency.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Sherry.
And we're here to say
what you don't. It has been forever. You too. I mean, it seems like when we miss a week, it seems like I haven't seen you in years.
Yeah, it's been a while. There's just so much going on with graduations, and then before that it was Mother's Day, and and then next week we won't be on because I've got my bonus son is coming for a visit. So
yay! I agree. Say, and just life in general. Life has just been kind of all over the place right now, but we're holding it down. But I surely have missed you, though. I wanted to say that before we got started.
Missed you too. Just live a life, though, girl. Yay. Just live a life.
So Jen,
I'm gonna let you take the lead today.
Hold on a second, I got a little feedback going. So yeah, we have a serious topic that we're talking about today. And you know what? It kind of goes into what's happening in society with these masks.
I'm over the masks. I'm so over.
Look, they can't even decide, do we put them on? Do we take them off? You put them on here, you take them off there. But you know what? That's why this ties in so well today, because people, again, just being confused about how do I present myself to society? You're right. You understand it. How do I even present myself in society? And then the next question is, am I who I say I am with that mask on or with that mask off? Who am I behind the mask? Yeesh. I better put my glasses on for this one.
Oh, that's serious.
Yeah. Who am I behind this mask? Am I the same person with the mask on, with the mask off? That's one way to look at this. And the other thing is, am I hiding who I really am behind this mask? Am I hiding my true identity, behind this mask? Is this mask covering up something that I don't want other people to see? Am I covering up something that even I can't even deal with? And so when I was thinking about this, I always use my own life, because there's no sense of us having tough talk if we don't deal with the situations ourselves. And I was thinking about when I really, really was trying to make a crossover from, hiding who I was, hiding from life, not wanting to deal with life situations, not wanting to deal with life's problems. And I remembered so vividly that time in my life where I just didn't want to deal, and I just hid, and the ways that I hid into being busy. I hid into, joining organizations and, getting involved so much to the point that I didn't have to deal with what was really going on. And to me, that was hiding behind a mask. And it wasn't until I really got a hold of who I was as a person. And I'm talking about the parts of ourselves that we don't want to deal with, and the parts of ourselves that we don't want anybody else to see. That was something that was very, very difficult for me, Jen. And the thing about it is that it didn't have anything to do with anybody else. It was me dealing with me. It was me dealing with me.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about for me is that self-discovery, right? Because sometimes it's not even about a mask. We're not necessarily masking ourselves from the world. We just don't know, who we are, what is our purpose, how am I living my life in a way that's beneficial to me? And so that's for me, on that level, that's self-discovery. And so many of us don't even take the time to kind of find out who we are. Like you said, you keep yourself busy. If I'm so busy doing things, I don't need to focus on myself, right? I don't need to be introspective.
That's right. So when you're talking about busy, I think about my life right now. And I will say that my life right now, I am busy. I am very, very busy. But the difference between the Sherry now and the Sherry back then is I now take that me time so I can slow my mind, my soul, and my spirit down so I can stay in tune and in touch with my energy. So I can
Right.
stay in tune and touch and grounding myself to make sure I'm centering myself. And I'm never so busy that I'm losing me.
Right.
And that's the difference right now.
The other thing too is, you're kind of freezing up.
There was a time, and I know this is damn to give, and I said, yeah, go ahead. I see I'm going in and out, but go ahead. I'm back.
Oh, it's all right. I was just saying that a lot of times if there's something about ourselves that we don't like, I mean, the easiest thing to do is to just change it, right? That seems like it would be an easy fix, but it's not often that simple, just because if we can't get in touch with who we are, sometimes you just don't even see. You don't see what you can change. You know what I'm saying? You don't see what needs to be done. Oh, it looks like we might be losing Sherry. Some technical difficulties here. How many of you have been in that space to where you actually have not been kind of true to who you are? Now, is that because you know who you are and just are afraid to be who you are? Or is this a case of not knowing yourself well enough to be able to be true to who you are? Because for me, a long time ago, there was a time where I really just was this person that was a kind of people pleaser, and maybe I knew what it was that I liked or who I was, but you live a life where you just kind of become who people want you to be. And that's kind of that space where I think that you are wearing a mask in life, not the kind of mask that we're wearing now, but a full mask that covers who you are. And you're not true to yourself because you're just trying to please somebody else. For example, do you really know what kind of music you like? Or are you the kind of person that will listen to whatever music maybe a friend wants to listen to or your spouse wants to listen to? Do you know how you like your eggs? Do you know what you love? Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. So I actually was just talking, Sherry, about being the kind of person, like, do you know who you are? Do you know what you like? Are you the kind of person that just goes along to get along? Like, do you listen to the kind of music your spouse listens to just because they want to listen to it? Or do you love that? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So many people are afraid to be like, well, I don't really like that. Like, I'd listen to it because you like it, but I don't really like that kind of music, or I don't like that kind of food, or I don't, right? I mean, so many times people are such people pleasers that they won't even like admit when they don't like something.
And that's true. And that's where you have to have courage to understand and identify and really dig deep in understanding who are you? Who are you behind the mask? And like I was about to give you an analogy earlier, and that wasn't none but the devil, because he knows I was about to really spill something. And I see that my thing is still lagging. So if it lags, then I'll go back out and I'll keep coming back in. But I really want to talk about this issue right here. And it was one where I wasn't really being a good steward over my money. I just was not being a good steward over my money. And I had, all these credit cards and, just buying all the stuff, and I knew that that was an issue because what happened is every time it was time to pay the bills, the credit card bills, I could feel my whole energy, my attitude changing, me becoming stressful and more, snappy at, people that were in my midst. And the thing about it, what I identified about that time period is that my attitude that I would give towards other people, it wasn't if they had not done anything. It wasn't even about anything that they had done. It was what was going on within me. And what I find now with some people is that sometimes you already come to the table with an attitude. You already come to the table angry at somebody. You already come to the table snappy and not really your best self. And what is happening in these relationships is that people aren't dealing with their own stuff. It wasn't until I dealt with my own stuff of not being a good steward over my money, handling my attitude, that I was able to really, really be that person that I needed to be for other people and for myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and a lot of us do that, right? I mean, it's about us, but we project. It's that
Yes.
projection, right? That we put out there to the world. And, we carry ourselves in a way towards other people because we're mad at ourselves for the decisions that we've made.
That's right.
And so it really is about, being able to remove that mask starts here with you, like introspectively, like you've got to know, like, okay, who am I? What kind of person am I? And am I being true to who I am when I put my face forward to the world? Absolutely.
And you know what? You touched on something earlier that I want to kind of expound on when you were talking about when I came out and came back in, when you were talking about taking on feelings that someone else has. And I want to give you a specific example of something that I have dealt with over the last couple of weeks, that I noticed. And one thing about people that I have noticed is that if say for instance, somebody else that they are in relationship doesn't like someone, sometimes they'll jump on that bandwagon instead of having feelings for themselves, having that, really saying to myself, do I have feelings against this person because I simply don't like them? Or do I have feelings of not liking them because somebody that I'm close to, or a family member, or a friend that doesn't like them? So I've seen that lately. I've seen that lately,
and it happens. Yeah. Well, the thing is it's people feel like it's easy to do that. So this is my thing. I've had an experience with that, like a lot, where you may be friends with somebody and you're friends with two people, right? And the one person, maybe you're closer to the one than you are the other. And that person is like, oh, I don't like so-and-so, da, 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 da. I always carry myself in a way that's like, okay, I'm going to let you have your relationship with that person or lack thereof. And I'm going to have my relationship with that person, because people are different with other people. You may not just mesh with somebody. For example, like if I was to listen to people tell me about a lot of people in my life that they were like, oh girl, they're so this or they're so that. That's who they are with you.
Exactly.
And that's your relationship with that person. Like, I'm not coming to the table with the baggage that clearly you have with this person. So don't tarnish my relationship with the person by bringing in your garbage. People need to realize that people are different people with other people. Like, for example, a spouse that may be not the right fit for me, right? I'm not going to badmouth this person to somebody else because that might not be who they are for them.
Exactly. And you know what? Since you speak about that, just going through the divorce that I've been through, I was shocked about the amount of people that I was in a good relationship with. And just because of the divorce, now we can't talk anymore. We're not friends like something on my Facebook for fear of somebody else seeing that and thinking that we're in relationship with one. To me, that's such an immature mindset. And it's really, it is so sad to me that you have to stop your relationship with someone that you didn't have any problems with, any issues with, simply because somebody else doesn't get along with that person that you're in in relation with.
You lost them in the divorce,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like them dividing up friends because like, well, you get these ones and I get these ones. Like, what?
It's ridiculous.
That doesn't make any sense.
But you know what it showed me, though? It really showed me the substance of the relationships.
It wasn't true.
It wasn't true. And not only that, it is, again, being realistic with who I am. And they had to be realistic with who they were. And we had to be realistic of what the relationship was. And it's so unhealthy to have that type of mindset around you. It's unhealthy. It's unhealthy.
Right.
You need to know that the people that are around you are truly for you, that they're not hiding behind a mask. And in all those situations, these people were truly hiding behind a mask because what they were saying is that I'm only your friend if you stay in relationship with this person.
Yes.
Then you're not really my friend.
Right. That's the only reason. So there's like, okay, I'm going to show my support and I'll be friends with your wife. But that because that was completely just
shallow
surface. It was all surface.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when things come out in the wash like that, Sherry, when that mask comes off and you see them for who they are and you're like, oh, none of this was real. This was all just a facade. This is all just BS. You're not really my friend, because if you were, the divorce wouldn't make us not be friends anymore.
Exactly. Right. Or how about those relationships whereas you might, I think you alluded to this earlier, when you may be friends with a girlfriend, right. And then that girlfriend may not like somebody else. Well, why do I have to stop my relationship with this person because you don't like
you don't hang out with them. Ain't nobody telling you to hang out with them.
I don't need to do that.
I never understood that.
Again, but it's hiding behind a mask because you won't deal with your stuff. If you dealt with your stuff on, first of all, why are you having friction with this person? Really understand it. Then you'll understand it's about you. It's not about anybody else that's around you. And Jen, I'm just telling you right now, what I'm really noticing and understanding, the older that I get, the more wisdom that I get, people don't understand how they are in a tornado of bad energy. And that's why their life can't progress, because you're looking at all of this stuff outside of you and trying to hang on to this person and hang on to that person and do what this person is doing and doing what that person is doing. You're hiding behind a mask because you're not dealing with yourself. Take the mask off. Understand who you are. You'll understand at this point that when you get who you are, it doesn't matter what's going on externally. It really doesn't. You won't even care.
That's so true. Well, so the first thing you got to do is take off the mask in private, right? Look in the mirror and figure out, do you like what you see?
That's right.
And if you don't, change it.
It's time to deal with it.
Right? If you don't like what you see, when you look in the mirror, when you take that mask off, change it. Figure it out.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And that's where I think we need to give the steps now. This is where we need to give the steps, because people might say, yeah, you say take the mask off, look in the mirror. But you know what, Jen? That is such a painful place. And let me tell you how I did it. Okay. And I don't have kind of like a list today, because today I really want to go all over examples of what I did to come out of that space. But one day I was coming out of the shower. And of course, every time somebody comes out of the shower, you'll have a mirror there. And I was already feeling so bad about who I was as a person. I was overweight. My hair had broken off. I really wasn't taking care of my hair. I just was not the best person I could be physically and emotionally. And so I remember this day specifically and so vividly. I got out of the shower and I looked at myself in the mirror and I turned my face. When I looked at myself, because I did not like who I saw. And I don't know what made this day different from any other day, but it was just on this specific day when I looked in the mirror, I turned my face like that because I didn't like who I saw. And I turned my face back to myself, and I'm sitting here again, no clothes on, nothing. I'm as bare as it can be at this point. But I looked back in the mirror and I said, you know what? If I don't like what I'm seeing, if I don't like the person that I'm looking at, how can I expect somebody else to like me? That was the day the light bulb went off for me. That was the day that I woke up. That was the day that I asked God, I said, please help me clean up this mess that I have created. Help me clean up this mess that has me in this place now that I don't even like me. And it was that time, it was back, I think this was around maybe 1994, 95. And I remember because it was before I had my second baby, but I remember saying to myself, I'm going to make a list of anybody I have ever offended. And I'm going to call each one of those persons and I'm going to apologize to them because I knew that was my start. And I'm telling you, Jen, I had to humble myself all the way down. It took a lot of courage for me to pick up that phone and call each one of those, people and say, I'm sorry. And the majority of them said, oh my God, I had forgotten about that. Or, oh my goodness, I wasn't thinking about that anymore. But it wasn't about them at that point. It was about me doing what I needed to do to clean up myself. And I thank them, though, for not forgetting, not holding those things against me that I had done because it made me feel better. It made me feel a little bit at ease, but I needed to do that. I needed to clean up people that I may have gossiped about or had made bad decisions on. I didn't want any of that hanging around or lurking around my mind or my spirit any longer. And when I began, every person I called, it was like, Jen, I felt a weight dropping off of me. The weight it was just dropping off me, and I was feeling lighter and lighter and lighter to the point that it was a feeling I had not had before. Because what was happening is that even though I was asking forgiveness of the other people, I was forgiving myself. I was letting it all go that was keeping me in bondage that I didn't even realize.
Right. You have to start there, right? And sometimes doing those things, taking those actions, does that. I mean, there's a reason that that's a step in the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
You have to write who you've wronged, right? And I know that there's been a time in my life where I've done that, probably not to that extreme, but because there have been a few people in my life where I felt that I had maybe wronged. And really it's like my first two relationships, the relationships where I had children with somebody. And I just, in both cases, I just kind of bailed. Like, I just was like, ghost. I took my stuff, I took my kids, and I left. And they deserved better than that. They deserved more than that. But that's what I was capable of at that time. Like, I wasn't in a space to where I felt like I could communicate my feelings, that I just had to act. And because if I didn't, because of the lack of skill that I had in communication, if I didn't, like, I felt trapped. And so, but those are things those were my issues because I lacked the skills to communicate, right? And pull off my mask and let this person really truly in on how I was feeling and why I was feeling it and all of those things. Because of that, the relationships were just tossed aside because I wasn't okay with myself and confident in myself or who I was even as a person to express it to somebody else. So my out was like, oh, you're
Jen, can you hear me? I can't hear you. I think you muted yourself by mistake. Or it says mute.
I did.
There you go. Okay, say the last line again.
Who's?
Yeah, it was just the last line.
Oh, cool. No, yeah, I wasn't comfortable with myself. So it was like, I couldn't so my answer to that was like, okay, I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know?
You know what I have found, and this is how the tables kind of turn when you do the work. And I guess that's what I want to say. You have to do your work. You have to do your work. And I know that's what Ayana Van Zant says all the time. You have to do the work. And so what I found is that when I started doing my own internal work, when I really connected with who I am, and I say this, and I don't mean to be smart mouth. I don't mean to be, anybody to think I'm trying to be high, mighty, what have you. But I am so serious when I say this. I love myself so much. I don't care what nobody else feels. I'm just telling you. And it's not that I don't respect people. I love people. But I have grown to the point that I love me. And I know that's what God expects from us. He expects for us to have an internal love so much because I know he lives within me. That's where my peace is. And I know what it is to just be in a room by yourself and just smile. You can sit on a porch and just watch the stars and the moon and the sunsets and all of that, and how you can just be in love with life. And that's where I am. But I will say this, being on the other side of this, what I have found on this side is that there are people now where I can identify and I can understand and I can see where they are in life. And when they are not pleased with who they are, they now can wreak havoc in someone else's life. And this is what has happened to me. I have had a couple people that try to wreak so much havoc in my life, but in my mind and my heart and my spirit, when I look at these people, I can clearly see you're not happy with who you are. You're not. You're not pleased with who you are. Because if you were, you wouldn't be able to make some of the choices and do some of the things that you're doing. You can't do those. You can't hurt and harm people with somebody who loves themselves. People that love themselves won't do that.
You are so right. And so again, it comes down to who are you? And are you comfortable in your own skin? And if you're not, how do you get there? Right? How do you get there? Because this was my thing. It's like, I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. When these relationships went down the crapper, it wasn't them. And I can honestly say that now. It wasn't them who they were necessarily. It was who I was and who I needed them to be for me. Because I wasn't who I needed to be for me.
And that's why I want you to look at your own life though, because when you became this person, when you accepted your wrongs, when you began to do the work, look what God did. He sent you a wonderful husband.
Absolutely. And you know what? And it happened quickly. It happened quickly when you realize, really, literally, I feel like my eyes were open to who I was and who I was pretending to be. And not even pretending to be, but I just was lost. I just felt lost. And once I found myself and I was true to who I was as a person and was like, you know what? I love me. And there's going to be somebody out there who loves me, who I am, with all my quirks and my this and my that, where I don't have to pretend to be anybody that I'm not, right? That I can just be me and be true to me. And once you find yourself and you love yourself,
they just gravitate to you,
right? And you are just like, you know what? Come hell or high water, I'm going to be me. I'm going to do Jen. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be a nerd if that's who I am. I'm going to tell you I don't like that music, and you can play it if you want to, but don't expect me to put it on the radio.
And you know what, Jen? Oh, go ahead.
Everything changed.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Everything does change, but not only that, what will begin to happen in this process is that those people who aren't really true to themselves, they can't hang around. They will have to drop off like flies because they can't take the person that you are. And I realized that's what happened in my transformation. That's what happened. People couldn't hang on to me anymore because, first of all, the hearts weren't real. The connection wasn't real. The energy wasn't real. And the more and more I kept working on me, the more and more I kept focusing on my dreams and my goals and what I wanted to do. When I looked up, my entire circle had changed. My entire work environment had changed. My entire romantic connection had changed. Everything had changed. Everything had changed. It's like you said, my eyes were open. And I began to see people for who they were. And this is another thing I want to make sure I'm very, very clear with this. Never let someone tell you who you are. I'm dealing with a court case right now with this judge. I know this judge does not like me, and it's okay. It's okay. I know the judge doesn't like me, and it's okay. But I am not going to ever let even a judge tell me who I am. Not a judge, not a boss, not a spouse, not a friend, not a family member. No one will tell me who I am. I know who I am. I know him. And when you can walk in confidence, no one will be able to shake that. And I think that's what aggravates people that are not of this right energy. I think that's what aggravates them so much because they want to dictate, well, you're this and you're that, and you did this and you did that. And you got to stand firm and say, I'm not that. I'm not this. I didn't do that. I didn't do this, but I know whose I am and I know who I am. And that's what you have to hold to.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And the thing is that, and I said this last week, being who you are does not mean that everyone's going to like you. And, you're going to ruffle a few feathers and haters going to hate. Like, those things are going to happen. You just have to be okay with that, right? And realize that people's perception of you is really none of your business. However somebody wants to perceive me, that's on them. And I'm going to tell you, the moment you realize that you are the asshole in someone's story, the better off you'll be.
That's right. And you know what?
We all are. We all are going to be the bad guy in someone's story. That's just life. Everybody doesn't love you, and everybody doesn't want what's best for you. And someone's perception of you and or a situation may not be favorable to you, and that's okay.
That is. It is. And you know what, Jen? And there is a difference in confidence and cockiness. And I think sometimes people, they get a little angry when they see things happening for people, people's lives progressing. And, and if you celebrate you, they say, oh, they're so cocky or they're so proper. No, what it is, I did the work and I'm celebrating my success. I'm celebrating all of the trials and tribulations that I've been through. And if you're sitting in a space that you're looking at somebody who has done the work in their life, they put in the hard work, they put in the time, they put in the energy, and you can see them walking up the ladder of life, you got to learn how to be in a place to celebrate that. Every time I see somebody move up, in life, especially if I'm scrolling on social media and I see people graduating and starting businesses and all of that, I'm saying to myself, yes, I'm happy. I'm applauding you because I know the work that has to go into moving up the success ladder. It's a lot of hard work. And when you find people that take on an energy of jealousy, when you find that
petty,
take on the energy of not being happy and glad for something, and pettiness. That's your first sign to let you know you got some work to do. Because anybody that has graduated and has successes in their life and beat illness and losing weight. I mean, I can go on and on and on of the successes that we can see on a daily basis. Your life should be in a place that you celebrate. And I'm going to say this last thing, Jim. When I see family members not celebrate another family member for succeeding, whatever it is, to me, that is sick. That sick. And that is my own opinion. And I know some people might not like it. I don't care because y'all already know I'm going to say what I want to say, how I want to say it, when I want to say it. I think it's sick. Tough talk now.
Don't tell Sherry what she's going to say.
That's
going to say it.
Jen, you know that's why we tough talk over here.
That's so funny. But, you know, you're right, though, that your circle will change as soon as you like get in touch with who you are, as soon as you drop that mask, right? Your circle is going to change. People are going to fall off. That's just normal. And when you are okay with yourself, that part doesn't matter. You're going to see that as growth. It's just growth. And you're going to let those people fall off. And you know what? Guess what? There's going to be, 5 other, 10 other to take their place. So,
and the thing about you have to be okay with it. What you're saying right there, because I don't want us to glass over that, because you're saying something very powerful. And we got to hold there for a minute for those that are listening to this right now. What Jen is saying is not easy. Jen, it's not easy. Being okay. It's a lot of work that goes into what you just said. A lot of work.
But you know what the thing is that when it gets to the point that they fall off and truly fall off, it doesn't hurt as much as you think it would.
No,
because you're in a different place and you just find that you've just grown apart, and it's not as painful as you think it will be. Do you know what I mean? And I think maybe with family it could be harder. I think for family it can be harder, but for friends, I mean, if they're really your friends, they're going to hang around.
I will tell you there is a little transition period there, and I think that's what you're alluding to, that when they actually are when they are detaching themselves, when the relationship is detaching, okay, right. There's pain there. There is pain there in that transition, in that detachment from a situation, from a relationship, and for some situations that pain may last months. It may last a few days. It could last a year. But there is
I said it may last years for some people.
Yes, it could last years. It could. But the thing about it is that as you're going through that transition of separation, that's what it is. It's a transition of separation. While you're going through that, you might have to just be your biggest cheerleader. You may not have anybody out there that's cheering you on at that point. And that's why what Jen and I are saying, you got to love the skin that you're moving in. You got to be able to do this thing by yourself. You got to I'm telling you, you have no idea how many times I would wake up in the morning and I would say, let's go, Sherry. Let's go. You got this. You got this. You don't have anybody calling you. You don't have anybody emailing. You don't have anybody texting you, cheering you on. You cheer yourself on. You do this. You got this. And I said that day in, day out. I got this. I got this. Yes, this test is hard. I got this. I got this. I know what God has shown me. Yes, I don't have anybody, that's helping me and giving me, besides your mother, your mom gonna be there for everything. But I wanted other people to help me. But God said, no, I'm removing everybody because I have to teach you how to do this yourself. You have to be your biggest cheerleader. You and me. Make this thing a vertical line, you and me. And I'm telling you, the more I dove into that energy, the more I just began to progress and focus on my own mind, my own spirit, my own soul. Jen, I promise you, I took off like a rocket. And my whole sphere of influence changed. Those people that were close to me, everything changed.
That's what happens. So kind of what I think that we're saying is focus on your relationship with you and don't seek that outside validation, right?
Yes.
Because ultimately you can't rely on that. Is it nice to get every once in a while an attaboy, way to go? Yes, it's nice, but I think too often people require validation. They require that. And when they're not getting it, they sit stagnant in life, right? And it's everyone else's fault, and they're miserable, and they're this and they're that. Where, like Sherry says, when you are seeking things externally, that really the answer is internal, right? It's about turning it around. It's about being introspective. When you are constantly seeking outside sources to validate who you are and your value in the world, you are always going to come up short.
That's right. That's right.
Always.
And
so
you know
what? You gotta love you.
Gotcha.
You gotta, love your creator and just be like, okay, I gotta go solo on this. It's just me and you. Like, let's do this, because you don't require outside validation.
And I have to say this, and this is not for you to say if you did or you didn't. And I'm not even going to say if I did or I didn't, but I just want to bring an example of what's happening right now in society so people can understand what we're looking at, what we're talking about. On Facebook, they got this thing, and I'm so sick of them. Every time I open up my Facebook, it's do you want this border around your picture that says you got the vaccine? My thing is this. I don't have to say I did. I don't have to say I didn't. And if I did or if I didn't, I don't need to broadcast it. Because first of all, why am I broadcasting my doggone medical information to people? Isn't that a HIPAA law? I mean, I'm just
right? Thank you. I don't care.
But that's my point. I never had to tell y'all if I got the measles shots. I never had to tell you if I got a doggone if I had to take birth control. I didn't tell you any of these things along the way.
Do you need to know when I had my last pap smear?
Pap smear, that's what I'm saying. Or my breast exam. I mean, what are we doing here? Oh, let me put a ring around the picture. I had my breast exam today. Smile. Now, what are we doing here? I don't understand. What are we doing here? So my point I'm trying to tell you is what Jen and I are talking about. And I can see her and I are probably in the same space, is that if we did or if we didn't, it is none of nobody's, it's not in your business. It's just not. Why are we broadcasting?
I know the ring around mine says, I don't care if you got your vaccine.
That's what but you know what? There's some people out here that will be the first thing out their mouth. I got my vaccine. Did you? If I did, ain't none of your business. Just like it ain't none of your business about if I got my pap smear, if I got my breast exam. That's nobody's business.
Yeah, do I have hemorrhoids? Like, none of your business.
I'm not giving you my medical information. Dang. It's just, to me, it's just so stupid. And that's where you have to get to the point to understand, what am I doing? I mean, what am I really doing? Jen, you're in the medical field, though. Aren't we breaking some type of HIPAA violation or something with this?
On every level. On every level. Yes. So, I mean, really, the idea that they're saying, like, well, you can take your mask off and go into the store if you've been vaccinated, and you have to prove to us you've been vaccinated. No, I don't. No, I don't. You're not allowed to ask me anything about my medical history at all.
I thought I was crazy at one, but I said when we do Tough Talk, I was going to ask you, because I know you were in that industry and you know all of the rules where that is concerned.
The thing is it's such a slippery slope, right? Because what they do is they dangle it in front of you like a carrot. Like, if you get the vaccine, you won't have to wear this mask, which isn't true, because there's people that have been vaccinated that are still walking around wearing masks.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so what kind of trust, first of all, do I have in a vaccine where I still need to wear a mask, even though I've been vaccinated?
And so it really goes back to who you are. And this is why I want to, bring it back home again, because even in that situation, you guys, it's what do you want? Who are you, whether you decided to get it or not decide to get it? What we're saying is that you don't need validation from other people by putting a ring around your Facebook. You don't need to broadcast to the world if you did or you didn't, because you got to know who you are to the point. Because when you do that, you're looking for validation from other people. That's
Yeah,
really
you're
what's
looking
going
for them
on.
to say, "Oh, well, now you can do this or now you can do that because you've been vaccinated." Like,
Yes.
I don't need you. I don't need, first of all, I don't need your permission to wear a mask or not wear a mask or be vaccinated or not be vaccinated. Like, that's my right to decide who I am and what I want, and if I don't want it, I don't feel pressured. And so a lot of times what Sherry's saying in life is, if you are seeking outside validation, you may feel pressured to be someone and believe something that you don't believe,
Or do something
because
that
you are
you really
seeking validation. You
right.
want people to invite you to the thing or do this or do that. So you're like, look at me, I got my vaccine, let me in.
You have to
So don't do
you have
that
to
in
know.
life. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't misrepresent yourself or do things that you don't believe in your life to fit in.
And that's it. Do it because inside it's what you truly want to do and not because somebody else is doing it. And this is how you have to go through your life. Don't go to the party because everybody else say they're going and you don't feel like going. If you don't feel like going,
Don't
then
go.
don't go. But don't go because, well, everybody else is going, so I'm going to go ahead and go. No. That's what, and this is kind of what we're talking. We're trying to give you real life scenarios of how people behave because they don't go on their own energy, what they truly want to do. This whole conversation today has been about you accepting who you are, the good, the bad, and the ugly, dealing with those sides that you don't like, so you can get that empowerment, so you can get that strength and that know-how to understand that this is how I'm walking through my life. Whether you like it, you don't like it, I'm pushing off to the side, I'm moving forward because this is how I want to live my life. I'm living my life doing it the way that I want to do it. And I'm not going to hurt anybody. I'm not going to disrespect anybody. In fact, I'm going to love everybody as I'm progressing through this life. Because as I progress through and we're in this love space together, we're going to help one another. And that's the people that's in my spirit right now, Jen. I found that people that are around me now, we're moving in the same direction. No conflict, no gossiping, no hindering anybody. We're all pushing together in the same direction. And it is such a very sweet and kind space. And I really love it. I really, really do, because to be in a space with people and now to have what God has allowed me to have people around me again. Because remember, I told you I was in a time of being alone because that's my part of transition. I was transitioning out of that old space into the new. And so as I was making that transition, and people started to come around me just a couple at a time. Now the space that I'm in is such a peaceful space. It's such a loving space, to the point, I told my mother, I said, I just never have felt this amount of love before from so many people that God has surrounded me with. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, because the way things work is what you put out into the world, you get back, right?
You get back. And that's the truth. Yes.
Absolutely. So what you're putting out to the world, you are then like attracting that back to yourself. And so remember this, is that the people that you are surrounded by are a reflection of who you are.
That's right.
So look, if you are surrounded by petty people, maybe you need to look in the mirror. Okay.
Well, you know what, Jen? Let me say something to that, though, because you can be in a space whereas you are really trying to live your life right and you're really trying to do right. And then you have this negativity around you, and you wonder why you're always so sad. You wonder why you're always down in the dumps, and especially when you're in a space of trying to do your best and trying to be your best. You got to understand how this energy plays out. You could be that person that is the one that kind of brings things together and the peacemaker. But if you're surrounded by all these negative people and all this negativity, you're gonna be spinning your wheels.
That might be transition though too. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And like that, when you notice that, I think once you notice that, I feel like those are those transitional periods that you were talking about, right? Because once you notice that they're petty, right? There's a place where they're petty, but you don't notice it because guess what? So are you. Okay. But when you get to that space to where you're starting to outgrow that, right? And you start noticing it, you start noticing, wow, this person is this and this person's that, and their energy is this and their energy is that. It's like it's been revealed to you. And the reason it's been revealed to you is because you have come into a space to where you've kind of elevated on some level that you're noticing it. Right? Because once you notice that you're surrounded by, you're like,
gotta make the decision.
Wait a minute.
It's decision time.
This person is this and this person is that. And we've been friends for all these years and they're the same person. They haven't changed. What's changed? And what's changed is you have changed. Your energy has changed. And you now see it.
Yes, and that's where the decision has to be made, right where you're talking about. And this is where, especially with women, and I'm going to say with women because we are so submissive. We will submit to our family. We will submit to our husband to make everybody happy, right? And we lose ourselves in that because that's where I was. I just surrendered. I took so much stuff and I just surrendered. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to make everybody happy. I'm going to, take to the cheerleading competitions and I'm going to do this and I'm going to cook. I'm going to wash everybody's clothes. I lost myself because I surrendered to this space that I knew in my heart, who am I? I don't even know who I am anymore. I have changed and turned. I turned into somebody for you all. And y'all don't care. Nobody cares. I have to lose myself to make you happy. And nobody cares about what's happening with me. And as soon as I started to break those ties, I said, you know what? I'm working on me. I'm going to make sure everybody's taken care of. But in the midst of me doing what I'm supposed to do as a parent, as what I'm supposed to do as a, just as a person, I have to work on me. And that's when my transition began to happen. I had to make a decision. Do I stay here? Because if I stay here like this in the state that I'm in, I've lost myself forever. I'm going to my grave like this. I really am.
And then you're no good for anyone.
And I'm not good for anybody.
People forget. It's like, okay, so once you realize and you are exposed to the fact that you are lost, that you've lost yourself, you've lost who you are because you've tried to fit into this mold for everybody else, to be everything to everyone except for yourself. But once you realize that, if you stay in that space, you will literally
you'll internally die. You'll internally die. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You really will. And you won't have life. You won't live. And I know so many women. I'm saying women, men. I know some men out there too, but I can only allude to what I know. And right. I know many more women who have just surrendered to abusive husbands, disrespectful children, friends that really don't care about you. You're in jobs that you hate. You surrender to this. And you just think that's the way life is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be like that because, again, now what you have to do is you got to stop for a minute, look at yourself and say, I'm falling off somewhere because I have to be falling off somewhere because I'm accepting this and it's all right with me. Even though it's not all right because you're going to bed sick. You're waking up sick. You're waking up hating life. You're waking up hearing the garage come up and this person is coming home, or, you hate looking at your phone and somebody's calling you and you say, I don't want to answer the phone. I don't want to talk to them. All that stuff. I'm telling you, people that call me now, I don't mind picking up the phone because the other ones that they know I don't want to talk to them, they don't call anymore.
There you go. They don't call at all.
They don't call. Listen, they might text. They might text, but they know not to call because you will be going to voicemail.
That's funny. Well, girl, this hour just flew by, and clearly we could just keep on talking about this.
It did. That's because we haven't talked in so long, Jen. Oh my goodness. You can't do me like this, and you're going to do me like this again. What's happened? This is this Sunday, right? That you're not going to be in the mix?
So this coming Sunday, he's coming on Wednesday, but I'm sure that we're going to be doing stuff and
Yeah.
taking, going around the island and things like that. So I just don't want to commit because I don't want to be a flake at the last minute.
But you guys, I'm still gonna hold it down because I know Jen held down a time where I could not be there, and I know, believe it or not, Jen, people are asking me, "Are y'all doing Tough Talk?" And so when we both didn't do it for, I think no, when my daughter graduated, it's
Right.
like some people are looking for this now. So you guys, I'm gonna come on with a topic, and you never know, I might get a little co-host. Can't anybody replace Jen though? But we'll see what I can do, or I might just do it by myself. We'll see. But definitely, we'll have Tough Talk on Sunday at 3 p.m. and we'll let you know what the title is. And then Jen and I will be back together in June. That will be June, right?
I guess so. Yeah. I'm gonna have to look at my schedule because my schedule's getting kind of hectic right now, but on Sundays. But we'll work it out.
Okay. You guys, we love you so much. Thank you for joining us.
All right, hey guys, check out our stuff. And I didn't do this, and I kind of feel bad because
our banner. Oh,
I know I didn't do our banner. Oops. Anyways, we're on all of these platforms, so if you guys want to check us out, you can check us out.
We're on all of them. Just read one line. We're gonna let it scroll one more time.
One more again.
And don't forget, we accept your cash apps, you guys, at Tough Talk 911, because this is not free, but we love what we do. But any donation, no donation is too small.
All right, guys. Well, I guess we'll see you when we see you.
Bye.
Aloha. Aloha.
Bye.